Good morning, Keith Tebow with you. We are in the midst of graduation season. Bristol Community College had its commencement last week. All the high schools are going to start having their graduation ceremonies really soon, and we're going to give you a preview as much as we can as what to expect for the graduations this year. And we'll start with our public high school here in the city of Fall River, and please be joined by the principal of BMC Durfee High School, Matthew Desmarais. Matt, thank you for joining me. How are you today?
I'm doing very, very well. Thank you for having me on, Keith. I hope you're doing well yourself.
We are. Let's get right to what people can expect this year. The BMC Durfee High School graduation, as we're recording this, is next Friday, June 4th. And, I remember talking to you last year. There was a lot of concern about with COVID, whether we're going to do it, virtually or in person. And there were virtual plans. And then as things opened up a little bit, you were able to do a live in-person graduation. It's going to be in person again this year. So give us a little background on what people can expect on June 4th.
Sure. So at 7 p.m., we're going to have our commencement exercise for the class of 2021 in person, based on newly released regulations and the falling of some restrictions as of 5/29. The event changed for us in that we're going to be able to allow graduates to have 4 guests instead of 2. We're going to be able to have folks outside without masks, which will be a really great change from last year, and that we'll see everyone's faces. It'll run very much like a typical graduation, other than we're now having it outside. We bought chairs so that we can be on the field without damaging it, and we can spread folks out so that they'll be socially distanced. Graduates will be seated 3 feet apart. Little different in that we're still not going to have live music for this year, but we'll be able to resume that part of the program next year. What we were able to do is capture audio from graduations of years gone by. So it will be a Durfee band playing the processional and playing the alma mater, but it'll be via tape rather than it live in person. Student speeches will happen as typical, and we'll be able to hand the students their diplomas rather than placing them on a table. So it's going to feel like a regular graduation, 7 p.m. June 4th, under the lights out on Mac Aldrich football field.
Yeah, should be a great time. Last year when we spoke, Matt, about graduation, we talked about the class of 2020 and, the challenges they faced. My daughter is a graduate of the class of 2020. So, we all understand what they went through. In some ways, the class of 21 aren't going through some things, but in some ways they kind of went through a little more because they had like a year and a half as they were looking forward to their senior year. There was still so much uncertainty. How have the kids in the class of 2021 handled all this?
Well, they're warriors. The class of 2021, they lost what we see as a typical senior year and the tail end of their junior year. So when we think about students getting ready for college, SATs didn't happen, and that changed that world very much with processes for admission, probably for the better, because it's really a level playing field for our students in that respect. But when you think about homecoming, when you think about the pep rally, that's a big piece of the senior year. When you think about just Friday night lights for football, when you think about all these things that didn't happen, they lost a lot. And for students that were working remotely since last March through this year, they haven't been in a school building since the tail end of their junior year. So it's been a very different experience. It's been a very difficult experience for a lot of our students to navigate the world remotely. And quite frankly, a lot of students have had a difficult time, and we've had to really be conscious of that and really do our best to provide additional supports to all learners. I'm trying to get them to not focus on what they lost, but about what they survived, and that they are ready to take on anything in this world. The world threw a pandemic at them. They're still standing and graduating high school, and I think that this particular set of students, my daughter's in this graduating class, are ready to take on the world, and they're going to show us some great things in the years to come.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And hopefully we'll all be back. We'll be back to normal and back to what we're used to in terms of school years beginning in September. And that actually leads me to my next questions for you. Pretty soon, in about a month or so, you're going to start making the transition from moving to the old school to the new school. Talk about how exciting that is, and what kind of challenges are you going to face in terms of the logistics of moving into a new building?
Well, yeah, it's a pretty complex logistical experience. Right now, we're in the sunset phase of the building we're in. We have to close up operations by the end of June to then have this building enter the demolition phase. So there's a lot of things going on with a move manager where we're going to be deciding what's coming over to the new school, which isn't much. All new furniture, all new tech equipment, all new facilities. So there's not a lot except for some specialized pieces that would be coming over with us. Then the district itself would be harvesting items from the school to send to other schools, labs, the library, things like that. And then ultimately the city would be offering some things by way of auction, bid packages, and then it becomes a demolition project. Running at the same time as that, all of the new stuff starts to arrive on site and get assembled in the new school and put in place. That starts over the next couple of weeks, to be honest. With work still ongoing in the building, that's going to be quite an orchestration to pull off. Right now, the tentative move-in date is in mid-July, and that's what we're keeping our eyes on there. So there'll be a time where I'm operating remotely myself, probably in another facility or maybe out of our auditorium building, which will stand and be part of the complex moving forward. So the month of July is going to be very busy in closing down this building and having the final details of the new building put in place. And then August is going to be very busy in settling in and being ready to receive students in the fall.
Yeah. How excited are people in that building about moving into the new one? I know, obviously the pandemic was so overarching. Is this in a way, as we come out of the pandemic, hopefully, that this is sort of like an added bonus in many ways, and how people are viewing it at the high school?
Well, I hope they're viewing it that way. I certainly am. I'm taking tours through that school almost on a daily basis, bringing staff through and seeing what is waiting for us. And there are some places in that building that are complete in final condition, and they're amazing. So there is definitely a lot of momentum in that respect. Unfortunate, what we're dealing with in the current context is kind of maybe provided a little break to that, let's say. But we have to be ready for that new building. We got to set up the systems, and we have to realize that there's some students that have not been in a school setting for over a year and a half that'll be entering that school. So thinking about students that went remote last spring as freshmen, stayed remote this year, they're going to enter as juniors, but didn't have their sophomore year in a school building. And then we could say the same thing about last year's seventh graders. If they stayed remote this year, they didn't finish their middle school experience in a building, and they're going to enter as freshmen. So we have to do a lot on the front end of next year to get us recultured to school and to trained on how to use this new building, this amazing facility, 21st century facility that's really going to take our operations to a new level. And there can't not be an excitement. But I feel as though we're going to be ready, and the students of Fall River are going to get a high school that they absolutely deserve.
All the problems that you just mentioned, they're all one of those good problems to have, right? In terms of what the outcome will eventually be getting into that great facility. I want to talk about the current facility. We were talking before we started our recording today that both you and I are graduates of Durfee High School, a little bit distance, me a little bit earlier than you, but we both went through our education in the current facility. And I know there have been talks about maybe doing some sort of last minute look back for those of us who, graduated in that high school, having one last, walk through. Talk about any plans that may be happening in terms of, closing down the school for people, those of us that graduated there, and what we can do to see it one last time.
Sure. So that there is an opportunity, and as I alluded, I have to shut down operations by the end of June here, so our window is short. And there were plans, the grandiose plans pre-COVID included a lot of stuff, but based on restrictions, a certain plan was made, and with the lifting of those restrictions, here's what I can tell you is planned. And certainly, everything that I articulated about what's going on my end, I couldn't execute this event too. So thankful that the Durfee Sports Boosters stepped in with Kristen Garvin, our assistant athletic director, at the lead to organize and to pull off this event. So they're having a Durfee alumni event. They're calling it Last Call Durfee. It is on Saturday, June 26th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. It'll be located, the event itself will be located in the courtyard, in the cafeteria, and the main lobby, right off of the Ellsbury Street parking lot. It'll be a catered event by Party with Primo, hors d'oeuvres, and an open bar. It's a ticket of $78. That's because the first year that this place opened for business was 1978. It's a 21 and over event, and the dress is a summer cocktail casual. So there will be tours for specific areas of this building that we're about to leave, the old school, let's say. There have been some questions about touring the new school that night. We can't have that available at this time. Tickets can be purchased via Venmo at Durfee Sports Boosters. And please add last call and the names in the Venmo notes. Or you can contact Kristen Garvin at kgarvin@fallriverschools.org for more information. We anticipate this event will sell out. There have already been 100 tickets sold by word of mouth. There won't be tickets at the door. We do want to thank Bay Coast Bank for some help in sponsoring this event. And I will certainly, Keith, forward you all this information so you have it.
I appreciate it. Is there a number limit in terms of how many tickets will be sold? You said there's 100 that is sold thus far. What's the limit?
We're working on that, day by day as regulations change. Indoor gathering is right now, I think, at 250 as of 5/29. But I imagine in consultation with our health department, if there's a demand that exceeds 250, I imagine, given the size of this place, we could probably work that out. But that right now, 250, I believe, is the cap.
Yeah, I know. And as we know, we're talking about this now. It's been changing daily, right, in terms of loosening of restrictions. So right now, 250 is the number, and that should be a great event for those who want to look back at their time at Durfee High School there on Ellsbury Street. Matthew Desmarais, principal of VMC Durfee High School, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. Good luck with graduation. We'll talk again soon. I appreciate it.
Keith, always a pleasure. Thanks for having me on, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
All right, thank you. And thank you for joining us here on FRC Media. Have a great day.